Hi, welcome to our second last maybe, self-rescue September video. And this one is about things to do when you're at the belay. So we're going to go through how to tie off your belay device so you can go hands-free to start the rescue process, and how to escape the belay when you're on a multi-pitch. And these are just really useful skills in terms of getting away from the belay and towards your climber, wherever your climber is, and doing that in a safe manner. The usual disclaimer of this is just one of the tools that you should have in your self-rescue and climbing skills in general toolbox. So while this is a good thing to know, this is just part of it. And if all you have is a hammer, all you see are nails. But if you have an entire toolbox, you can effect rescues a lot better, simpler. Take these skills, learn them, practice them, but don't be shy to hop on the internet, go to YouTube, find a whole bunch of self-rescue videos and educate yourself. And most importantly, and I'm going to stress this a lot now for our last video, is practice, practice, practice. I'm a pretty well-rounded, going outside regularly climber, and a lot of these things that we've done this month, I've been like, oh wow, I know how to do that, but jeepers, it took me a long time to do it the first time. So practice, practice, practice. You want these things to be smooth and quick and efficient so that when you do have to do them for real, you're not stuck spending 5 minutes trying to ask yourself, did I do this, or do I do this? How do I do this? Oh, I need to do this. And you don't make mistakes that compound time down the line. Time is quite efficient in rescues. So the quicker and smoother you are, the safer you'll be and the better it'll be down the line. Enjoy. In some self-rescue scenarios, you are the belay and your partner has fallen, you're not rescuing yourself. And you need to get out of belaying duty so you can begin rescuing duty. So one of the most important things to know is how to tie off your belay device so you can go hands-free to start doing whatever the next step is. So I'm going to show you the cool method. So you take your hand, you just press on the rope here as it's going into your belay device. You can even use your fingers. You just want to keep really good tension all the way through this, and because the belay device is so good at putting friction into the system, it's quite easy to hold that. Take a big bite of rope, pop it through your carabiner, and you can make this quite long, 1 meter long if you have the rope for it. And you're going to take it around the rope and back inside your carabiner from your stomach side. So you've essentially tied a big munter hitch with the rope, the belay device, all of that all together. And then as you come out, you can just tie a half hitch and then an overhand just to secure it. And if you were really paranoid, you could take a carabiner and just clip this to the rope, and then you're good. Now your hand's free and you can do whatever it is you need to do. Put a prusik on, find an anchor. A whole bunch of options exist for you now. I'm at the stance on a multi-pitch, a sports stance. I have a quad, my bolted anchor / abseil station. I'm connected to the stance with a clove hitch through the rope. The rest of the rope goes down to the coil and back up to the leader. And now my leader's fallen, taken a bad fall, hurt themselves really badly, and I need to get out of the system so I can go up there to help them. The first thing I'm going to do is tie off my belay device, and I already showed you how to do that, so I'm just going to do it quite quick. And I really just want to tie off my belay device so I can go hands-free to use both hands for tying my prusik and transferring the load of my climber from my belay device and harness onto the anchor. And as I do that, the anchor is going to flip upside down. Bolts are really great because they can take that load in any direction. If this scenario was on trad, I might have to readjust the anchor sometimes. Take a cam that was pointed this way and turn it this way so it can take that upward load. Some nuts aren't great at changing the direction of the load, so just something to bear in mind. Before I do much else, I'm just going to make a backup real quick. Just take a fairly big bite of rope here, about that much. Tie a nice figure of 8 on the bite. And if you have a spare carabiner, you can clip it directly onto the quad. If you don't, these carabiners are really useful just for a job like this, the final backup. The backup to the backup to the backup. Not quite, there's only one backup, but because we're on it, we only need one backup. So I'm going to take my prusik and I'm going to tie a French prusik here because hopefully I'll just be able to slide it down. But if my climber is too heavy and I'm unable to release this when it's under load, because this is going to take the entire weight of my climber. It's not like under my belay device where it's just holding a percentage of my weight. This is taking the full load. My climber weighs 80 kilos. I'm going to have to release 80 kilos of force just by pulling down on this thin prusik. So in case I'm not able to do that, I'm going to tie just a little releasable system here so that if I can't release this, I'm not stuck. So what I'm going to do is take my long prusik, clip it onto my short prusik, and I'm going to just tie a manta mule, not actually a manta mule, I'm going to tie what's called a super manta, which is where you make two mantas in one, and the super manta is really useful. Check it out, you can just find it on Google. I'm going to tie it off with some half hitches, but it functions exactly the same as the manta mule. It's a tie off that's releasable under load. The super manta is great for accessory cord because it's so thin. Sometimes it's hard to control all that weight just with the manta. So the super manta gives you extra friction. It's like belaying on top rope at City Rock. There's lots of friction in the system. And I'm going to just clip this onto the quad and lock it up, and I'm going to slide this up here and try get it to take as much weight as possible. Now I'm going to just undo my tied off belay device, and then I can make this slack so that this is holding all the load. Now I can take my belay device off, which is a big step. I'm going to need one a bit later. And I'm just going to climb up here, so this is easier to work with. Sometimes you might have to just clip yourself into the anchor so that you can reach all of these things up here. It's never a perfect scenario in a rescue, so you'll have to make a plan and adapt. So now I'm going to do a manta mule over here, and I'm going to do it quite close to this so that I don't have to release so much rope through the device. And I find it's quite easier to tie your manta mule on the carabiner before, because this tail rope can just move around. Okay, so now I'm ready to transfer the weight from my prusik onto my manta mule because I want my prusiks back. So if all goes well, I'll just pull down on this and it'll release. But if it doesn't, I have my super manta with the foot loop prusik, so I can just undo that and use this to just slowly release. There's not a lot of weight on there, so that's why it's taking a minute. And then I can pull my prusik down. And now I'm completely out the system. Well, not quite, because I'm still tied in, but depending on the scenario, I could use this to abseil down to the ground if I have enough rope and go call for help. I can ascend up this rope. I can use the tail to rope solo up to my climber if that's the only scenario that's open to me. But I'm out of the belay, I'm not holding the weight of my climber, and that gives me a lot more options. which is really cool. This is quite a complicated procedure, and it's a good thing to practice. Even me, who's pretty on the ball with these things most of the time, took me a little while just to figure out how everything works and go through the whole process. And I've been climbing for a long time, and I've thought about these things fairly regularly, and I'm out of practice. So odds are you need to practice. So come find me in the gym if you're stuck. If you're in Cape Town, chat to some of the guys there, and definitely practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the better you are, the quicker you are.